Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another of your spooky sessions with me, your host, Heather Gold. Now, tonight I'm bringing you two stories, one of which is episode 3 of I Was a Priest at the Vatican, and the first story that I'm going to bring you is again something a little different, not a ghost this time. It's about the phenomenon called the black-eyed children, or the BEKs, the black-eyed kids. So, without further ado, if you'd like to please sit back and relax, I'll start with a story from someone who we'll call Jake. And this is his encounter with the black-eyed children. And I really do hope that you enjoy it. Don't go looking for black-eyed kids. The mere idea of them terrifies me. I didn't used to. In fact, I didn't understand what the real big deal was. I don't know why. I mean, I read the online stories and articles about black-eyed kids, just like everyone else, but I just didn't have that visceral reaction to them, you know, like so many other people did when they were reading about them. So I decided to embark on a quest. I'd show some people just how unscary these things were, whatever they were. I mean, who knew if black-eyed kids were even a real thing? I'm the sort of person who needs to see things for themselves. I began doing a lot of research online. I looked at the paranormal sites. I watched scary videos on YouTube about black-eyed kids. And from everything I gathered, they found you. You didn't find them. And it seemed like it was pretty much just by chance if they did find you. So what was I to do? I came up with a plan. I began putting up an anonymous ad on Craigslist. It read, "Black-eyed kids, I'm not afraid of you. I want to meet you. 9 o'clock, Wednesday. The park bench on the corner of 3rd and Washington. Show me why I'm wrong and why I should be afraid." Well, the bench was only like a block from my apartment, so every Wednesday I could walk down there and see if anyone or anything came by. I usually wouldn't sit there, I'd just stand back and watch. I'm not stupid. I may not be afraid of the black-eyed kids, but I know the internet can attract some pretty weird types, you know. Nut jobs, and it did. Occasionally, you know, nothing exciting enough to write home about. A couple of perverts and some teenage kids joking around. So this went on for about 6 months or more, and then I stopped posting the ad. The week I stopped, I got a knock on my door. And I was sitting on my couch, and it was a little after 9 p.m. I don't know how to explain it, but the second I heard that knock, my skin went cold. Ice cold. I didn't need to get up. I knew who it was. And to my surprise, I was terrified already. I was wrong about not being afraid. I was really frightened of these black-eyed kids. The fear's on a different level. It's an instinctual, primal level. But still, I managed to get up and open the door. And yet, there was a kid, about 9 years old, olive skin, dark hair, solid black eyes, just staring up at me. "Can I come in?" he said. I was speechless. After what seemed like an eternity, I responded with, "No," and I began closing the door. "We missed you at the park tonight." I stopped closing the door. I looked at him, my mind racing. They've been watching me. The boy smiled up at me, and it took everything I had to move my arm again, pushing the door closed and locking it. Well, as soon as I shut the door, I gasped for air. I hadn't been breathing. I sat with my back against the wall, facing the closed door. And then I heard it. He was still there. I waited, but there was nothing. It took me at least an hour to move from that spot, staring at the door. I didn't sleep that night or the next night. Eventually I collapsed with exhaustion at my desk at work, only to awaken minutes later by my nightmare history of what happened that night. It's been 6 months now. I can't explain the fear that washes over your body when you see the eyes on these kids. In the state of your mind, the way your body wants to listen to what they're telling you, what they're asking. I thought if I told you my story, it would help me get over what happened and warn others. I'm positive these kids are evil. The people they meet who can't resist whatever power they wield. I don't think we'll ever hear from those people again. And I'll avoid that corner park bench with everything I have. I won't tell anybody why. People think I'm crazy enough as it is. Walking 3 blocks out the way just to make sure I don't go near it. But you'd be the same way if you went through what I did. Black-eyed kids. They are nothing to mess with. Don't mess with them. Don't. So, that's your first story. And what I know of black-eyed kids, they only ask you for 2 things. They knock at your door, they ask if they can use your phone, or if you are driving your car, they'll either leap out in front of you, or they will run along beside you and ask if you'll give them a ride somewhere. And I've heard that they can just be in your car and then disappear. If you refuse to give them a ride, they can curse you or give you nightmares. So I don't know whether they're demonic, but I don't have the answers, I'm afraid. I'm just like everybody else trying to understand what this phenomenon is. So, if you ever see a child with solid black eyes, get away from it as fast as you can. That's what I would do. Well, it's now time to move on to your story for tonight by Zithero. I was a priest at the Vatican and we summoned a demon. We are now at episode 3. Now, where were we last week? Well, as you know, we are now looking at things from Father Thomas's perspective. Imunda has mistakenly summoned Sarah instead of Asmodai. So Sarah's still in the circle, and it's a case of Father Thomas now takes over, and he's going to interrogate her. So we're going to pick up from where we left off last week. So please continue to relax and sit back and enjoy this wonderful series by Zithero of I was a priest at the Vatican and we summoned a demon. And I do hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As I stare at the distraught demoness before me, I must remind myself that she is a demon. To lie is to breathe for her, so I do my best to ignore her cries. I make my way to the door. I ready myself to inform the others we summoned the monster, much to my great disappointment. It's at this point Imunda's voice rises from the floor, sounding feeble and elderly at first, but growing more vigorous as he speaks. I was mistaken. Turning to him, I notice Imunda's hand clasping the sanguine amber. No one had taken it from him during the shock of the successful summoning, I realised then. The amber glows as he draws power from it. He rises to his feet. The horse should have killed me. Now I will bind her. He takes a deep, agitated breath. But first, to burn you priests to ashes. He points his cursed trinket towards me. I flip my Bible open and hold my rosary beads before me. I read from Psalm 23. Imunda laughs at me and he screams, Habarim fire! I sense the heat of his dark illusion approach me. The flames lick at my brow, but I continue to pray, advancing forward, my faith that God's protection will ward off this dark ether. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. I spot Imunda's face, shocked as I exit the fire before him, his spell having little to no effect. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. The cross adorning my rosary beads is hot enough. It now burns through my glove to my palm. I must cool it soon. These gloves can only resist so much, but I have a plan to address this situation. What? Imunda shouts as he stares, baffled at the amber in his fist. How could you be unscathed? I push the crucifix into his forehead as the cross brands his brow. It cools down. Imunda screams in pain. I pray over his cries of anguish. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Imunda now loses consciousness. I follow him down, cradling his head with the open Bible to prevent him from striking the stone floor. I do this while holding the cross to his head still. I see the brand left on his head by my cross as I remove it, and I stand, brushing ash from my vestments and robes. Amen. Father Hammond is the first to speak. Bloody hell, Father Thomas. I thought you were done for. I glanced at Father Hammond. Remember to place your safety in God's hands, and he will lead you through any tribulation. Father Charpentier speaks, in English, for once. I would expect no less from Father Thomas. I turned to the demoness who was staring at me in shock. Now, to see if the church can pry any information from this. I eye her up and down. Succubus. She pulls her knees to her chest, and I swear I hear her whimper. I sit drinking an orange herbal tea in one of the interrogation rooms. The bishop sits with me, and Father Hammond, Father Charpentier, and an outgoing nun named Fatima Ghazawi has also joined us in the room. She was a convert from Islam and a wonderful and caring young woman. Most excellent tea, sister. She smiles. Thank you, Father Thomas. I glimpse across the divide separating me from the succubus on the other side, a one-way mirror between the two of us. She has her hands bound by silver chains attached to a table bolted to the floor in the centre of the room. She begins to panic, appearing frightened and looking lost. Father Hammond speaks first. This seems cruel. If this girl was once human, she must have been suffering whilst in hell. She surely was coerced into giving her spirit over to the darkness. I could always say Father Hammond is a compassionate soul. However, it was this quality of his that always made me fear he lacked the stomach for some exorcisms. I keep looking at the succubus, sipping my tea. Father Hammond, a pact with the devil must be a matter of free will. Under duress or otherwise, unable to think that one cannot lose their soul. While a demon may torture someone, they cannot take their soul using torture alone. The torture of others, perhaps, but even then, to give your soul over in such a situation is still an affront to God. I place my tea down on the table before me. Do not pity her. Sister Fatima looks to Father Hammond. A blasphemer is a blasphemer. It takes faith to fight the darkness. She looks to the woman before us. Faith to fight our own demons. I nod to Sister Fatima as I hold her hand to reassure her. That's right, sister. Bishop Ricci now interjects. Who shall be the first to pry her? I stand up. I will interrogate her first. Bishop Ricci hands me a document. Well, this is the information we need to know. The document has the following questions printed on it. When is the invasion planned? How large are hell's forces? Who leads the armies of hell? The generals, their names, etc. Why are more and more people being possessed? I nod to Bishop Ricci while the others wish me luck, and I enter the room with Sister Fatima in tow. Sister Fatima lights incense in a thurible and swings it, dispersing the incense through the room. The succubus glances at Sister Fatima with a convincing gaze. Please, sweetie, you gotta help me. I chime in. I'm Father Edward Thomas. I sit opposite her, ensuring to draw her attention. The succubus looks at Sister Fatima, A confusion comes over her face as she stares at me. Oh, what the fuck? Sending in a priest. I ignore her remarks, looking over at my phone. You claim to be Sarah Baker of Boston, Massachusetts, yes? The succubus nods. What of it? With a stern glance, I glanced to her. Sarah Baker, when were you born? March 15th, 1961. She gives me an unnerved stare. Why am I answering you? The incense fills the room and it weakens your demonic aura, making it easier for me to compel answers from you. I say this as I look up her information via the church's database on my smartphone. These databases link to multiple sources, which they should not, but the church ensures it has access to such things. She glares at me, her wings folding beneath her. So what, is this a date? She scoffs. And then again, I'm not your type, am I? I peek at my smartphone. Husband, David Miller. Son, Jason Miller. Yes? Her face softens. How the fuck did you know? Interesting that you kept your maiden name, I continued. You were a student at Harvard University on a full scholarship for molecular biology. I say, reading the information provided by the database. She strains against the chains. Why do you know all these things about me? I continue to read what I'd found. You got the highest marks in the program, one of the most promising students, pregnant at 19, married to David Miller, an excellent catch, a rising star in Harvard's legal program, son to a wealthy billionaire. She struggles still against the chains with renewed vigour. Stop it! I observe the chains, they're still holding. I go back to reading. They found you dead on your birthday, March 15th, 1982, of alcohol poisoning. The succubus now calms her struggling and rests in front of me. Her eyes are wide, the tears are welling up. The day you died, that was the day they sealed your dark pact, wasn't it? I inquire. Her voice cracks. You don't understand. You traded your soul for a wonderful life, it seems. A handsome husband, beautiful child, a sharp mind. I tucked my phone away. It only lasted for so long now, didn't it? The pact for your soul came with its own consequences. The succubus shuts her eyes tight. I didn't realise the real price. But you gave up your soul regardless. They tricked me, the succubus whispers. He said he was an angel. A fallen angel. But even so, one cannot trick you into selling your soul. One must be upfront with the terms. You must agree, knowing your soul will still be theirs. I fix her with another stern gaze. Yet you are not human, not any longer. You're a demon, so explain how that came to be. She gives me a serious stare now, her eyes still pleading, crying for help. What was the pact? Explain it to me, I pry. She closes her eyes as she heaves a sigh. I was 13. Her eyes opened and rose to meet mine, doe eyes glistening, while she adjusted her arms to present her cleavage. I was just a girl. Waving my hand unfazed, I confess. You'll find that your seduction won't work on me, succubus. Under our breath, I'm certain I heard the word. It's not a very nice word to describe a homosexual, but I'm not going to repeat it here. She leant back, no longer trying to entice me. He promised me beauty and charisma for my soul. Her eyes narrowed at me. But I was always intelligent. I pick up on something odd about her explanation. Your will is not your own, yet the owner of your soul doesn't require that you call him master. She looks to Fatima with pleading eyes. I snap my fingers before her. Focus, please. The succubus scowls. My master isn't the one who I sold my soul to. How did that come to be? The one who bargained for my soul sold me to my current master, she admits. Demons barter with souls of the damned? I'm not surprised to hear this, frankly. She nods. All the fallen do. We're like currency. The transmuted ones, like myself, are the most valuable. She tosses her hair back as a shampoo model would, still trying to entice me. Our form is exemplary. I fetched a high price, as you can tell. Whom were you sold to? I ask, unimpressed by her display. My master Asmodai, she answers, and her eyes seem to glow brighter as she says his name. The Lord of Wrath. I sigh, looking at the one-way glass. That explains Amunda's issue in summoning. He was attempting to summon Asmodai himself, yet instead we get the one who leeches off his power like a lamprey. The succubus looks away insulted. If my master came, you'd all be very dead men. Oh? Is that not what you believe your master would do to us? I query. A glint of joy enters her eyes. He would swoop down on his mighty dragon, brandish his havoc blade, and swing into you. Wave after wave of you, holier than thou, pricks would come at him, and he would keep on killing you. She takes a ragged breath, exciting herself. He'd tear into you all, no matter how many of you there were. How can you be so certain? I pry even further. I've seen him destroy forces in his own army when they dared to disobey him, she bragged, her breath now even more laboured. I inspect Sister Fatima to see her blushing. I motion to her to step out of the room. Sister Fatima blushes and vacates the room, leaving me alone with the succubus. His own forces? I'm sure there are not that many. We could have much more, though, yes. So far I've found her bragging to be informative. The succubus bites her lower lip now, her wings hugging herself and caressing her shoulders. She snickers. My master commands 72 legions of demons, 10,000 strong each. He commands them, they obey, or he destroys them by hand. He is powerful, so powerful, my master. She trails off in a slight fit of suppressed moans. I finish jotting down the information, looking to her with a disinterested view. Her green emerald eyes now try to entrap me, glistening with an enticing display of verdant hues. I match her gaze, totally unfazed. The succubus now drops a facade and glares at the one-way mirror. I see why you picked this one to do the talking. What are your instructions? I ask as I notice the incense smell is fading and now being replaced by a scent not unlike lavender. I assume this is a personal pheromone. It smells rather offensive. She looks at me while leaning back into her chair. And I didn't understand them. Be happy about that. If I did, I couldn't disobey them. Something about finding the gate. I don't know where that is. She fixes a grave stare at me. Don't tell me if you know. I shrug. I know not where it is. I jot down the information. So you're tasked with opening the gateway to hell. How did you know you would be here? She shakes her head. An announcement went out to every demon in hell that whoever gets summoned had to find the gate and open it. And if they summon my master, I'm sure you'd all be knee-deep in shit right now. I stand, because the scent she's emitting has grown far too offensive. Thank you for your time. If you'd excuse me. I leave the room and head back to the others. Father Hammond gives me the odd eye as I enter the viewing room. I turn towards Sister Fatima, who has continued to swing a thurible in the room, masking the succubus's fragrance. Bishop Ricci nods. Good work. So they knew the summoning was happening. We need to exercise caution of any looking to bring a demon into this world, as they will attempt to open a gateway. This explains why she attacked a summoner as soon as she could. Father Hammond adjusts his vestments with a renewed purpose. I have a few questions for her myself, things we must have answered. Father Hammond makes his way to the door. I suggest, Sister, why don't you aid Father Hammond? Make sure the incense is strong. I hand her an earpiece as she passes me. As Father Hammond exits the room, Sister Fatima affixes the device to her ear. I watch as they both walk into the room and the door locks behind them. I press a button on the small AV system on the table. Sister, please nod twice if you hear me. Sister Fatima nods, but her face is already flushed, despite us swinging the thurible faster. Do not allow the succubus to touch him, and if your resolve slips, you can leave the room. Just nod if you understand. Sister Fatima nods as she stands behind the succubus. Sarah Baker, Father Hammond starts. Let's start with a few questions, yes? No reason to make this painful. Sister Fatima continues to swing the thurible next to her. The succubus shifts and fidgets in her seat. Can you get rid of that incense? Sister Fatima speaks. No, it counteracts your musk. The succubus looks Fatima over from head to toe. What the hell is someone like you doing being a nun anyway, sweetness? As I suspected, the succubus can only seduce someone if it attracts them to her. Sister Fatima's peculiarity renders her more vulnerable, while my peculiarity protects me. Father Hammond clears his throat. Are you treated well where you are? It's hell, the succubus answers sarcastically. Concerned that the succubus may compromise her, I appraise Sister Fatima's condition. Praying for Sister Fatima, I make sure I keep my eye on her. My faith on her resolve is strong, and I pray for Father Hammond's as well. Can you let me out of here? Please? I escaped hell already, It's like you guys are trying to make it seem like hell on earth. The incense is burning my eyes and I want to go outside. Just once. It's been so long. I want to see the sun. It's been decades. Please. Please, Father. Father Hammond appears nervous. First, we need to have you answer our questions. Succubus now looks hurt. Could you at least tell me what year it is? Father Hammond nods, smiling. It's the year of our Lord, 2018. The succubus's face falls. You mean like 2118 or 2218? Father Hammond shakes his head. No, my dear. Her lip quivers. No. No, 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 no. You cannot tell me that it was only 36 years. Only 36. It seemed like decades on decades. She bawls her head off now, gasping and sobbing in a rather ugly fashion. I see Sister Fatima place her hand to her mouth, her own eyes swelling up. The succubus reaches out towards Father Hammond as he offers her his hand. I shout into Sister Fatima's earpiece. Do not let her touch him, Fatima. It's a ruse. Get out of there. The both of you. The instant I say this, Sister Fatima reacts, dropping the thurible and grabbing Father Hammond's hands. I unlock the door and Sister Fatima rushes them both to the door. The succubus's voice raises in volume, a low growl emanating from her, steam rising from her face as her tears evaporate into the air. I stand up ready, yet I'm not at all prepared for what I witness next. The succubus slams her hand against the table, which breaks off the bolts on the floor of the initial impact. No! No! It can't be! It can't! Belial, that sick fuck mammon! That bitch Esmeralda! Every one of them I wasn't there for only 36 years. I couldn't have. They've tortured me for centuries. She screams, dragging her fingernails across the table, scoring it with her claw-like nails, her wings flapping and her tail lashing about in a fit of rage. You bastards, you lying fox, I was in there longer. You can't tell me every year there was only a few months. You can't. She slams her fist down into the table, cracking it in half and breaking her chains. Her eyes now glow green as I realise the error we've made. A dark power is swirling around her, amplified by her anger, fueled by her rage. She was hiding this power somehow, and now it is more than clear. Imunda had summoned a powerful demon. I dash into the hallway, trying to find the best way to warn them of the succubus's true power. She is a berserker. Father Hammond stumbles into the hallway looking distressed. The succubus bursts forth through the doorway, grabbing hold of Sister Fatima as she does so with an unholy strength. Her glowing eyes now seem to cast a green aura around her. A foul stench fills the halls, and she screams with ungodly power, so loud and piercing it shatters the glass in the adjoining room. I sense a heat pulsing from her body as she rushes past me, hurling me against the wall, and her free hand grabs Bishop Ricci. A burst of wind forces Father Hammond and I to the floor as she flies down the hallway. I get to my feet with Father Hammond. Soon Father Charpentier joins us as we rush towards the stairs. I glance to the cells, seeing Imunda still inside. On the way past it, I grab the sanguine amber, putting it into my pocket as we make our way out of the prison level. I consider that this bauble must be the key to sealing the succubus back into hell. At the landing and the staircase, we come to find Bishop Ricci's body. Bishop Ricci looks battered and broken at the top of the stairs. Father Hammond rushes to his aid as Father Charpentier cries out for someone to call for an ambulance. I rush out of the office near the steps, dread washing over me. I do not see Sister Fatima or the succubus now. She's escaped. My worst fears have come into fruition. Father Hammond curses. She wasn't a woman, Father Thomas. You were right. She's far more horrible than we thought. She always convinced me otherwise. Father Charpentier frowns to both of us. Que Dieu pardonne notre oubli. Basically, that means, may God forgive us for our arrogance. And that, my friends, is the end of episode 3. And we'll see what happens in episode 4 next week. I think we can all agree that Zithero is an excellent writer. And I'm thoroughly enjoying his stories. Well, my friends, it's another week that's come to a close. I do hope that you've enjoyed tonight's stories. Let me know what you think about them in the comments. You know, if you're enjoying them or if there's other things that you'd like me to read about for you. You know, because I know a lot of you Haveners are enjoying the series of stories. So, you know, it's a real pleasure being able to bring them to you every week. But if you know, I've read you an awful lot of ghost stories. If there are any other paranormal anomalies that you want me to bring to you, just let me know in the comments and I'll do what I possibly can. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for being here. I want to thank you again for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed tonight's stories. And it's 2 of our Haveners' birthdays. At least it was the 1st of May. It was our Michael Turknett and our Angie from 4F Beauty. And if you two are watching, then I hope you had the best birthdays ever. Right, my friends, as you'll be able to see, my candle is burning very, very low, and it's soon to go out. So I think I better say goodnight to you before my candle actually does burn away. I hope you all have the best weekend that you can. And please take care of yourselves and stay safe. And I love you all. And I do hope, like I say, wherever you are in the world, whether it's your bedtime or whether it's evening, whether it's morning, whatever it is that you're doing, I hope you're making the most of it as you can. So, I love you. I'm going to blow you a kiss. And I'm going to say goodnight to you. Good night.